Helen and Lee Draper. Their daughter Meg died after contracting meningitis B in October last year. Hi to both of you. Also here is Dr. Tom Nutt from the charity Meningitis Now. And I know a lot of people at home have got questions about this, Tom, so we'll come to some of those. But first to both of you as parents, and it's been horrible enough dealing with losing Meg, but then seeing these cases in Kent must just be, so shocking again.
It's absolutely devastating. We tragically lost Meg when she was studying at university in Bournemouth, and then to hear that more students have sadly lost their lives, absolutely tragic.
Really appreciate you talking to us about this because it is so desperately recent for you. We're seeing pictures of Meg now on the screen, and I wonder, can you just tell us when you first realised that she wasn't well, what happened?
Megan had called us on the Friday night to say that she was feeling a bit lethargic. She didn't really want to go out that evening. That rang alarm bells with us because Megan always wanted to go out and socialise. So that was the first point. She'd gone to bed, she'd woken up in the morning and she was nauseous and she had a rash on her stomach. She'd contacted me and then said, I'm going back to sleep, try and sleep it off. She woke up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The rash had spread. She felt worse. Her arms and legs were aching. And she just felt really unwell. So we advised her to contact 111 to seek medical help. Unfortunately, they didn't call back immediately. So we then advised her to go to Bournemouth A&E to seek medical attention at that point.
I suppose that's the nightmare scenario, isn't it, for parents of young adults, that they've moved away, whether it's uni or working, they've moved away and you're trying to help them remotely, but, they also have to know what to do themselves. What would you say to mums and dads and young people watching this morning? Yeah,
it's just being aware that the meningitis vaccination that they get doesn't cover them against all strains, and that's where I think the communication's been really, really poor over the years. Is that we assumed that Megan had a meningitis vaccination, and to us, we sent her off to university thinking that. It's just afterwards, after we know what strain she had, which was meningitis B, which she died for, knowing that she wasn't vaccinated against that, and we had no idea that she didn't have protection against that.
Let's explain that. Let's try and clear up that confusion this morning, because babies now are offered meningitis B, aren't they?
Yes.
And some young teenagers are. But I guess Meg's was part of that cohort of sort of older teenagers who weren't offered it as babies, but they did get a meningitis jab. Yeah. So, but you didn't realise?
No, so Megan had MenACWY when she was in secondary school.
That covers other strains,
That
but
covers
not this
the other strains.
Right.
But because she was born before 2015, she isn't vaccinated against Men-B, and currently all the university students that are out there at the moment of that age demographic, they're not covered either.
Dr. Tom Nutt, this is the point to bring you in, I think, isn't it? So what we're finding out, aren't we, is that there is a whole cohort of young people, young adults, who aren't vaccinated against this. Just explain to us what parents should do, what young people should think about when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's right. So I think the first thing is knowledge that there is a gap in the UK's immunisation schedule. So basically anyone over the age of 10 years won't have had that Men-B vaccination on the NHS. It's been available privately during that time, so there'll be a handful of people who may well have had that Men-B vaccination. But as Helen and Lee say, what that means is that there has been a state of confusion. A lot of people go to university under the misapprehension that they've had a meningitis vaccination that will protect them. And as we've already said, that'll be the so-called MenACWY vaccination. But that doesn't protect you against Men-B. So I think the message for parents, which I think was your question, Sally, the first thing for parents to do is make sure their children, if they're away from home, is just to be aware of the signs and symptoms of meningitis and know to treat it as a medical emergency if they fear that maybe it's struck. As we heard from the representative of the UK Health Security Agency, vaccinations are out there, they're available privately, but that's a long-term solution. I think for anyone who's worried today, it really is awareness of signs and symptoms and knowing when to act.
suppose people watching will be thinking, well, do we need to catch up? Do we need to offer immunisations to those who haven't had it now?
Yeah. Well, at Meningitis Now, we think that's absolutely imperative. We've been running a campaign. We call it No Plan B for Men-B, because the only way to prevent Men-B, meningitis, is through vaccination. So we would like to see the government introduce that vaccine to teenagers and young adults. We're seeing too many young people die, having their lives robbed from them in the prime of their life. And I know that if the government were here, they would be talking about cost effectiveness and so on and so forth. But I think you just have to look at Lee and Helen here on the sofa this morning. You just have to think about those poor families in Canterbury and those people who've been affected to know really that lives are precious. And there is a vaccine that can prevent meningitis.
I can't imagine how you feel when you hear the phrase cost effectiveness.
Oh, absolutely. Megan was priceless to us, and I'm sure every family that have ever been touched by meningitis would say the exact same. You know, preservation of life has to be paramount. And like we said, they're all priceless and they've got their whole lives ahead of them. So we absolutely implore the government to reconsider this and provide the vaccine for the adolescents.
And I think, Lee, what you said earlier will strike a chord with lots of people watching. You assume that if your child has had a meningitis vaccine, they've had the meningitis vaccine.
Yeah.
And there are so many people who don't know that. I imagine one of the things you want to do now is make sure people realise that.
Absolutely. I mean, awareness has got to be the key thing now. And it's just because, you know, as parents, when you get told your child's had a meningitis ACWY vaccine, that doesn't really mean a lot. So it just gets clumped together as you've had a meningitis vaccine. And, you know, it's just heartbreaking to find out afterwards that there was a vaccine available and we just weren't aware that she needed it.
Thank you both so much for coming in. Thank you, Dr. Nutt, as well. And there is some really good information as well on the BBC News website. There's a link with an explanation about all these different strains and links to the NHS advice and vaccinations as well. So do take a look at that if you want to, if it affects your family.
Thank you. It is just coming up to 9:20. We're going to talk now about the